Okay, and we are live. So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Crypto Hour. Today is Friday, 12th of December, penultimate episode of the year. Next Friday was going to be the last one of 2025. And then we'll be back after the 10th of January. So, let's get straight into it and we'll do our usual discussion of few few economic announcements first, and then we'll go on to more crypto-related news. So, where are we? Friday the 12th. Okay, so this week, main economic announcements. We had interest rate announcement from Australia, Canada, and the US. So Australia kept the interest rates the same as 3.6% as expected. The same as Canada, although they kind of lower interest rate to 2.25. And the US then on Wednesday as well announced a cut of a quarter of a percent in the federal funds rate. So we're going down from 4% to 3.75. So if we look here on the table on the left, that sums up all the main economies' interest rates. Now, the UK is the one with the highest interest rate, central bank interest rate of 4%, US at 3.75, Australia at 3.60, and then Canada, New Zealand, Europe, and then the yen and the Swiss franc that is now the lowest at 0%. Now, the yen, is gone through a few raise of interest rates and now sits at about 0.5% with potential of further increases in interest rate coming. It's the only of the major economies that it's back in the trend of lowering interest rates. Obviously, without forgetting that on Thursday we also have the announcement from Swiss Central Bank, again kept rates steady at 0%. Nothing much to be announced today, just like the GDP for the UK, which saw a slight drop month on month of 0.1%. Well, the UK economy is not really pulling that hard at the moment. Is one of the ones in biggest trouble of the largest economy. But this is the news so far. The only non-central bank news this week of any relevance apart from the GDP from the UK is the unemployment claims in the US. This is like a weekly announcement. This week it actually jumped up quite a lot. These are new claims for unemployment. They went from 192,000 last week to 236,000. Although, when you look a little bit of a granular way, at the same time, the continuous jobless claim number is actually come down, around the same time. So these are kind of the long-term unemployed number that has been steadily going up over the past few months, but it's now actually come down by about 100,000. Not quite sure what that is due to, if it's like Christmas related employment or what else, but it does come down a little. But this number has raised quite a few eyebrows, kind of potential issues, because I remind you that the American market, from the point of view of jobs, having sent back a lot of a big part of the workforce back to Mexico and outside of the the US borders, should have much stronger numbers than they're showing, because there is less supply of labor. So even with that backdrop, we're still seeing in general the job numbers deteriorating over time, and that's as one of the main reasons why this week there was a cut on interest rate from 4 to 3.75%, because has the Jerome Powell said there are still worries about inflation. There's still, it is coming down slowly, not as quickly as they would like. So if there hadn't been any worry about economic worsening of the job market, they probably would have kept the federal funds rate the same this month. This is what they really would have liked to do, but obviously they have a double mandate of one side controlling inflation, which has a long-term target of 2% or around 2% or below, and at the same time keeping the job market in pretty much in full employment. Okay, so the job market is what I've worried the Fed at the moment, and it's what is pushing them to lower interest rate. But also, this is a result of the end of the quantitative tightening, which ended officially on the 1st of December. So it's the first policy, that is showing signs of the opposite of tightening, which is easing. So the monetary policy that it's easing, and obviously the lowering of interest rates is the first, the first indication of that. And as a result of that, so even before the announcement, this was obviously widely expected by the time it arrived, and markets adapt to the announcement before the news is actually out. So it hasn't really changed. It hasn't really made a lot of difference in different markets. So if we look at, so this is the Nasdaq. As you can see, this is Wednesday's. So we are sitting now. We should possibly see kind of like a boost in price, of the stock markets. Instead, the Nasdaq is actually down compared to where it was a couple of days ago. But if you look at the couple of weeks preceding that, you can see that the kind of like the increase in price is pretty much like priced in by the time it was announced. S&P 500, slightly different, showing now a difference between worry about the tech market stocks that they look way overpriced. So we now have contrasting messages, and from different indices, with the Nasdaq showing some headwind, but at the same time the S&P 500 and especially the where is my Russell? Especially the Russell 2000 showing completely different figure. Let me just remove the drawing. So the Russell 2000 is more indicative of medium to small companies. So, and after the announcement, you can see they liked it very much. It's gone up 2.7%. Okay, so this is, I would say, the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq are got less to do with the American economy and more to do with the top 10 companies. They are really multinational companies that operate all across the world, where the Russell 2000 is more to do with, bread and butter American companies that produce products, for export as well. A lot of it goes to the American market. So this shows you how well received the interest rate announcement was. You wouldn't know that if you look at the Nasdaq, and the S&P 500 has got an increase, but more modest, 0.7%. So that's the difference. So at the moment, the technology sector is, in general, the large companies in the US are looking to be very overpriced. So let's have a look. XLK. So this is the technology ETF. Okay, the XLK. And as you can see, he has reacted well to the move prior to the announcement. Since the announcement, which came, by the way, at the end of Wednesday, although all the candles are green, the price has actually gone down. Obviously, it hasn't opened yet today, but it's the pre-open price is down here. So the technology companies, the technology sector has gone down about 1%, even with a positive announcement. So the cost of money coming down, and that's an indication more of the kind of crazy valuation that we've seen so far, and the fact that even with strong headwinds, we had like an incredible run since April. You know, going up like 53% in the Nasdaq. Even now, we're sitting still at about 50% since the low that we had. You know, if we really go down to the low, I mean, it's even more. But you know, from the start of the lowest starting day, it's over 50%. Not quite as good if we're looking at, you know, where it started 2025, but still, where are we? Beginning of 2025. So we are still looking at, so far, from beginning of 2025, a 20% increase. Like on a yearly, for a wide market index, it's stellar, really, 20% increase. Obviously, you know, this is when you pick and choose your entry, but it's, you know, anytime you enter the market between January and April would have improved their results. You know, so 20% would have been right day one in January. Maximum return could have been 55. So anything between 20 and 55, you know, you wouldn't be unhappy with a 20% return, you know, of like a passive investment that you know, that you can leave your funds into. So this is the kind of the sector that is showing at least some signs of struggle. Let's see how other assets have reacted to this, like our favorite Bitcoin, but also gold. So again, gold is also depending from interest rates, so it becomes more attractive, you know, as the interest rates come down. And so far, since the announcement, it's gone up 2%. Now, Bitcoin, what has Bitcoin done? Not much. So since, again, we're taking it from the announcement, which is at the close of market on Wednesday. So it's just slightly up 0.3%. No, not much. But Bitcoin at the moment with the institutional investment is basically closely correlated now with technology stocks. So it's showing you not much. So it's plus 0.3%, and here we have minus 0.7% for technology stocks for the Nasdaq, 0.6%. So it's actually done a little bit better than technology stocks, which is you know, promising well for the future. Shall I show you what maybe I will keep it for next week, and I'll just give you a quick glance at this. We can have a look at this next week, like how different markets are expected to grow over the next 5 to 10 years. And it's kind of quite interesting, showing that the sectors that are, if you look at this, the expectation for the US large companies is over the next 10 years are expected to have a negative real return. Okay, which is quite telling. So this is where you kind of like, you want to be careful how you position yourself, because not everything in investing, not everything goes up actually nothing goes up in a straight line, and there is like a 1% probability at the moment of having a 5% real return. Okay, so there is a.
Don't worry, I'll deal with it.
Sorry, anybody wanted to comment? So we look at this.
Sorry, Luca, my microphone was open. I didn't realize, and I shouted something to my wife. Ignore me, forgive me.
Okay, no worries. No worries. Mhm. Okay, so we look at this more next week and think what are the sectors and economies that will offer better opportunity than the what we've been kind of like investing in almost like lazily. And kind of like you just throw money into the S&P 500 or to the Nasdaq and it will do well almost by default. Well, not necessarily that is going to work for the next for the next cycle. And we might grow through an extended time of very limited returns and having to be very discerning if you want to have any positive returns in your portfolio. Okay, let's change tack. And do I have something? Okay, let me just have a look very quickly. I have something that I took a screenshot of. Okay, so this is something I wanted to show you, kind of like this. Let me just make it slightly bigger. Okay, so I think these are all like different countries and metals and other things. So the conditions that we're in now are very similar to the situation we had in just previous to the great financial crisis so where we were roughly in 2005, 2006. So very similar condition. This is what happened in the following period, and what assets did well in overall returns, but also what we consider risk-adjusted return, which is the Sharpe, you see here, the Sharpe ratio. So the higher the number is, the better it is generally. And so you see, it's quite interesting to see that the conditions are actually ripe for some of the developing economies and also for for some of the kind of like small cap investments that performed very well over the time, better than a lot of more established economies. But the kind of any value over a 1 in a Sharpe ratio is a positive value, but the higher the number is, the higher is the potential of upside returns. So this is the return for the Sharpe ratio for each units of risk. Okay, so the higher the number is, the better it is. So during that time, as you can see, metals like gold did well, but especially value stocks, small cap stocks, and developing countries did really well, like Mexico, Colombia, China did really well. Better than the US doesn't even figure in this chart. Okay, so it's important to be ready to to take the right. This is just to give you an idea, probably the most comparable period that we had in the recent history, and what followed that period, because what precedes any strong correction is complacency. Okay, so most people get complacent thinking that the status quo, what happened in the past 10 years, will carry on happen in the next 10 years. But markets do work in a cycle, and the cycles are peaks and have troughs. So we're gonna have to be ready for either to happen. Okay, let's go and have a quick look at I will say at the Bitcoin price action. So what we saw recently, we had kind of Bitcoin up to the end of November dropped down to literally to the 80,000, almost like to the 80,000 mark, has since recovered up to kind of where it is now, out to kind of the low 90s. But the interesting thing to say, so what is data telling us? one of it is what we can see, or we can see in the chart. It seems to have category put the brakes to the fall that we had. We have more liquidity to look forward to in like first and second quarter of 2026, which should be positive engine for Bitcoin. So from a chart point of view, we can say that we kind of held this the demand that was sitting. Let me just change the color because that irritates me. Sorry, the demand that is sitting since April. Sorry, so it was the kind of the lowest point before we created a new all-time high in July, then August, and then later on in October. So we still seem to have held that point. But also the other thing to be noting on chain is that the accumulator accounts, so the what we describe as the whales, have also increased their holdings quite significantly. So, and when have they increased their holdings? Pretty much in the first couple of weeks. The first couple of weeks of November, as the price was dropping from 110 to the low 90s, they actually increased the amount of Bitcoins in this large wallet. So it means that large orders of Bitcoins are still accumulating. So we're seeing like a transfer of value from short-term holders, which are the ones at the moment are sitting up. If they're still in, they're sitting at a loss because they bought Bitcoin basically in the past, from July. So if they bought Bitcoin at any time since the beginning of July, they now will be at a loss. Okay, so the people that say they can't hold the loss anymore, they're selling. But long-term holders are actually buying that supply, and this is why we found this kind of like bottom at the moment that we seems to be holding. I mean, we don't know what the future might hold, but in the short term, this is holding, and it kind of like the character now is changing slightly. Kind of like we saw, if you see from a technical perspective. Okay, so we were here in a series of, you can see lower highs and lower lows. Okay, and then we are starting now. Oops, sorry, we'll just take that off. And we are starting now a slightly different, though it's not very, very exciting at the moment. But we are starting a new direction. Okay, not very exciting. So it's not a very strong trend at all. But it is significant in the sense that he's actually trying to establish a positive narrative. Although, as you can see at the moment, the selling strength is still dominating. This. So for me, at the very least, until we overcome at the very least this point here, which is around 97,000, we still to be considered that the downtrend is dominating, because you can see the down move are a lot stronger than the up move, which looks of a corrective nature. But at the same time, we need to look at the data. So every time there is now a small correction, it seems to be stopping at a slightly higher level. The last correction from yesterday at the moment has gone down to below 90 again, and then we moved again in 92. So we'll see what the future brings. I'm not too worried about the strength of this, as long as we hold. Okay, as long as we hold above 75,000, I'm quite happy that the momentum in the new year will carry us to a completely different scenario. But in terms of crypto news, this week we can, we've been talking a lot about the Midnight Chain. So that Midnight Chain has officially launched. So we can see the night token. As you can see, it came into being on Tuesday the 9th of December. You can see this is like quite interesting as a launch, just to show you guys. It's absolutely crazy what happens on the launch of a token. So they've gone from high of 16 cents to a low of less than 1 cent, on the same day. So what I'm trying to say, guys, that you don't need to get into it right on day one. Whenever a new token is launched, let the craziness happen, and then if it's a project that interests you, just wait a few days for things to calm down. Because in particular, this token was airdropped for free to everybody. So obviously, people that value it will hold it. People who don't value it just cash out because they go like a free money. So if they don't care about what Midnight Token is doing, they just take the money and run, which is fine. It's normal for any token. So it's now the important thing to say is that is now settling at about 5 cents. It's gone up. You can say it's gone up and down and everything with the crypto market. But it shows that the first like billion project that's been launched on Cardano, which is nice, and it could change completely the narrative for how blockchains work with each other. Okay, so really watch this space because it could be one of the most interesting projects of 2026, if not leading the way. Because I know that a lot of people that start on other blockchains may end up on Cardano for the qualities it offers after seeing some of the horrors they have witnessed in other ecosystems. So crypto news before we move on to question and answers. Let me just move the Zoom controls out of the way. I'm not going to spend too much time looking at the just very quickly looking at Bitcoin ETFs. Again, this week we are seeing kind of positive numbers creeping in again. So overall, so far, we are about 250 million in the positive. Okay, which is good. Not gonna much. You see now you're starting to see at the top, apart from the Go ETFs, Solana ETFs, XRP ETFs. So there's quite a few ETFs that started being present in the market. Now I think the XRP ETF is the one that where is one? Maybe not. Sorry, I was looking. So one of them has actually gone above at one point. The XRP ETFs, before the price of crypto came down, was above the 1 billion mark. But you can see that they're starting to accumulate quite a lot of funds as well. An interesting thing that both the Solana and XRP ETFs have launched in a period of crypto prices going down. They still had mostly green days. And this is the Solana ETF here. Okay. Which has accumulated about 160 million. So as you can see, most of the days have been green anyway, even in declining cryptocurrency prices overall. So it shows you that there's kind of appetite for regulated crypto products. Okay, whether it be Solana, XRP, HBARs or other ETFs that are now available. Soon to come, the Cardano ETF as well. Not one day too early. Other news that we interesting. Now, so again, I'll show you. These are all the things that I'm showing you are like pieces of the puzzle. They are showing, they are creating the picture what we're going to see in the near future. So, as if you are in Europe, in the UK, or in Europe, or anywhere else across the world, you might be aware of the problems of moving funds between the banking system and the crypto world. With banks resisting very much that move because they're losing customer, they're losing power. Now, this is a really interesting deal between Trust Wallet, which is the self-custodial wallet backed by Binance, in the same way as there's the Coinbase wallet, which is a self-custodial wallet by Coinbase. Whether you might have your own wallet like MetaMask, Ledger, Trezor. This is another one of the self-custodial wallets. Okay. So the interesting thing now, they've made a deal with Revolut, so you can buy directly. At the moment, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana, directly through Revolut, directly on your Trust Wallet. So you can put crypto on your Trust Wallet. So on a crypto platform, directly paying with money from Revolut. By the way, at 0% fees, which is interesting. Okay, now Revolut has 65 million customers across the world. Okay, so this again, it's not something that will change anything. It doesn't say when moon, as they say in crypto. It doesn't mean that it makes crypto price jump, but it breaks down barriers to entry, makes easy for people to buy crypto from their bank account. Okay, so we're getting more and more example of this like seamless home ramping. Okay, and just think about it. There's still a lot of problems in many countries across the world in dealing with Binance, moving funds from Binance to and from your banking account. This is a major step forward. Moving on, this is huge. Okay, the SEC. Let's forget about the XRP side of it. That's got nothing to do with it. But the SEC green lights stock and bond tokenization. So the Security and Exchange Commission, which is the SEC, has officially approved tokenizing stocks and bond and blockchains, making a major shift in financial markets. Okay, so this could transform how securities are issued, traded, and settled. Now, forget about the XRP ledger, because that obviously will not just be using XRP, but it's the idea that can use tokenized security. They don't necessarily have to be on XRP. Okay, but this is the first step in the move to have regulated tokenized securities not on the official US market, like the New York Stock Exchange or CBOE or the Nasdaq, whatever, but on the blockchain. That means it opens the road to 24-hour trading of these particular securities. So, and we can see a pathway that in a few years' time, this will basically replace the once a proper structure has been agreed on, this could replace the stock market, because we're moving from 5 days operation to a 7-day operation, 24 hours a day. So this is a plus, because what is on the stock market and things that are traded on stock markets dwarf crypto by more than 100 to 1. Okay, so even if 10% of the securities were tokenized, that would means a huge influx of cash into crypto. Just huge, massive. Okay, so this is one of the biggest news you could have read. That if you're not convinced that crypto is here to stay, this is one of the things that could sway you the other way. So kind of like JP Morgan, they are kind of like on a battle against MicroStrategy. You can see keep moving deeper and deeper into crypto. Okay, now they have actually issued, they executed a commercial paper deal for Galaxy Digital using USDC and the Solana blockchain. Okay, so again, this is like tokenizing. They are selling it as an experiment in on-chain market structure. But basically, they are again issuing a security using just the blockchain, and kind of bypassing the institutional ways of issuing securities, using the stock market, etc. So, the JP Morgan has also used Base, so they're moving away. So the Coinbase, basically the Ethereum blockchain. Base is a layer 2 of Ethereum. Now they are expanding as well into Solana. So it's kind of like a way for Solana to get into an entry into institutional capital. I mean, read what you want out of that, but it's interesting again, not so much for Solana, but for crypto in general. Like the main players, kind of JP Morgan, these are like big players in the in the financial world, are now jumping into the crypto world, because they have found a way now of turning it to their advantage and making money out of it. And this is for those of you that were around during the Terra disaster and Luna collapse. This is the founder, the co-founder of Terraform Labs, which I am responsible for Luna. Got 15 years in prison, which is even like 3 years longer than the prosecutor that I had asked. And again, this is, I'd say it's interesting for crypto from a different point of view, in the sense that, if you are thinking of doing things illegally, then you might think about it twice, because these are like harsh sentences for what it is, like a fraud, basically a fraud sentence. So he's been accused of deliberately misleading investors who purchased crypto assets from his company. So that could bring more clarity a little bit to the world of crypto. You can see he offered an apology and said he hoped other cryptocurrency founders would learn from his downfall. So it's obvious that they wanted to make a case out of it. They want to make an example out of it, so just to stop other people to following his footsteps, basically. This is what we were talking about before. Kind of long-term buyers are actually accumulating more Bitcoin during the drop. And last but not least, Bhutan. Who knows what Bhutan is? Okay, I think Eric has been there. Yeah, you probably have you actually managed to get in, Eric?
No, I was in Sikkim, next country.
Sorry?
I was in Sikkim, the country next to it.
Okay, yeah, fine. Because then it's quite difficult to get into Bhutan. But sorry, Bhutan have been known as one of the countries that more forward with cryptocurrency. Now they've launched a digital token backed by gold in the nation's, using the nation's gold reserves. Okay, so the difference is like the gold. So this is the token is called TER. It's a sovereign gold-backed digital token issued through Galathu Mindfulness City. So the DK bank will custody the physical gold, while the token is built on Solana with this particular company, Matrix Stock. They're not familiar with handling tokenization. So this is part of their strategy to expand the blockchain ecosystem and more than 9 national finance. So they say the gold will actually be held inside DK Bank, which is a government supervised institution created specifically for handling digital assets operation. Okay, so instead of leaving this tokenized infrastructure to a foreign blockchain, Bhutan actually selected Solana, so they say, to because of its speed and capacity for high volume transaction. So as you can see, it's not just companies even there and individuals that are moving into crypto, even if this is just a small country. But there are kind of like important steps, because things start happening at the margins first before they hit the center. They first you start seeing more and more of these small signs that eventually build into a sort of as an avalanche that the bigger organization, bigger country cannot ignore anymore, because it affects the balance of power. So yeah, I think I've spoken enough for today. So it's I think about time to get some of you to speak and save my throat for a few minutes. Anybody, Jonathan, you get ready to give us an update on Cardano Midnight. So any other questions in general before I pass the mic to Jonathan? No? Nothing. You're all okay, Jonathan. Then up to you. Tell us, what's happening in the Cardano world this past 3 days. This momentous launch.
So we are live, which is really cool, and the token is being distributed to more and more holders around the world. We've got the claim portal for the airdrop up and running now, and the first tokens were claimed by the general public yesterday. So if you have a claim on Night tokens because you have held Cardano or Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana in a self-sovereign wallet on the 11th of June, then you're in a chance for being able to claim. So you can, or to redeem. So if you go to redeem.midnight.gd, you can go and see when your release date is, and that will be anytime in the next 3 months. And then every 3 months after that, you'll get another 3 claims. So you end up with 4 total claims of your apportioning of the airdrop. That's the Glacier drop or the scavenger mine if you participated in that. And my first tokens unlock tonight, I think. So I'm going to go and excitedly go and get my night tokens and see what I can do with them.
And interesting, Jonathan, interesting now, as a kind of like a new thing for Cardano native tokens, is that this token is starting with a bank, so being listed on pretty much all major exchanges.
Yeah, a significant list. In fact, there's if you go to midnight.network/night, there's a list of the exchanges that it's currently listed on. These are the ones that the Knight Foundation are actually recognizing. But the list is bigger than that because they keep popping up on Twitter saying, oh yeah, we're listing Knight as well. We've got a Knight Euro pair up and running. NBX in Norway has got their...
What's the site address, Jonathan? Midnight?
Midnight.network /night. And then it's got all the institutional integrations that they've got up and running. If you scroll down to the sort of partners section, there we go.
Oh, there we are. So as you can see, obviously you might not know some of these, but so this is being listed on. Am I familiar with Bybit? Obviously, that's a big name. Obviously, it's CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap. There's no exchanges, but the information, so you can follow them. Gate.io is a big exchange as well. HTX and Kraken, so there's Huobi and Kraken as well. KuCoin, Mexi, OKX. So these are big ones, and also on its it's also on Binance Alpha, so it'll soon be listed on Binance as well. So it's yeah, guys, this is good stuff. Now we are waiting to see then how the ecosystem will develop. You know, and we start. So are there any apps that have actually launched on Midnight?
Yes, so the one that I'm most excited about is Strike.finance. And they have a yield opportunity for Night tokens already. So you can this is a leveraged, decentralized trading platform. So you can have your tokens on there, token pairs on there that you like to trade, and you can trade them one for the other, looking for price appreciation in a sort of typical trading way. And you can leverage your positions up to 30 times, like you would on a big centralized exchange. But this is all decentralized, all running through smart contracts. Now, because
which one is the site? I mean,
Strike.finance.
It wasn't coming up for some reason.
Yeah, Strike.finance. I mean, it's a Cardano platform.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It was just I was going like
no one likes to link to Cardano platforms, including Google.
Strike Finance. So let's have a look. Up the strikefinance.org. Okay,
that's the one.
That's the one.
Okay.
And
because it's a decentralized exchange, you can actually, or trading platform, you can actually provide liquidity to the platform as well. So if you are a holder of Night tokens, you can provide liquidity and then earn from the trading fees or losses that that traders on the platform make. So you could actually become the other side of the equation. Normally we sit on the trading side, but in the DeFi decentralized finance, you can sit on both. So you could actually become a liquidity provider to the Night token market if you're holding Night tokens from the Glacier drop.
Fine, we can see here the numbers as well. It's like 3.7 million tokens are already in the pool, and they already added 390 million of trading volume in only 3 days. Not bad.
Well, that's the whole platform, I think. So if you just click on Night listed at the bottom or halfway down that list, that perhaps gives them more of a filter.
Right, just take it just a second. Okay. Sorry, on the analytics.
Oh yeah,
okay.
That's right. Yeah, this is an analysis platform, but yeah, the take up's good. They've got, so that the day that the Night token launched, we had some platforms already listing the token, and it gives you a good opportunity to get in and do something with your Night tokens. Even though you receive them for free, you can still put them to work for you. I think Becky's asking about whether you can back claim still. And the first portion, if you're one of those holders of these other tokens, XRP and Brave, etc., then you could have gone in and claimed first 3 months ago, something like that. Now that was the best chance to get the most tokens. That finished, and then there was a scavenger mine where they gave a whole load of tokens to miners. That phase is finished, and now we're into the redemption and the I can't remember what they're calling it now, the sunset period or something. So you can go in if you are eligible for a claim in that initial portion for the Glacier drop, then you can come back now and make it another claim, but it will be a smaller portion of tokens that you'd get, but you can still claim some. So yeah, it's still worth trying to see if you're due any, even if you didn't get in on the first tranche.
So Becky, just so that you know, to be eligible to claim, you must have had one of these 8 tokens on a self-custodial wallet. Okay, so it wouldn't work if you got them on Binance or Kraken or something like this. You need to have been on your own wallet. So it's fine if you got them on Ledger or MetaMask or something like that, one of those wallets like that. It wouldn't work from a central exchange. But if you had at least $100 worth of any of these 8 tokens was that the 11th of June or something like that, around that time, then you would have been entitled to a drop. So you would be entitled now to a much smaller drop, but still worth checking, especially if you had quite a bit of any of these, or any of these 8 tokens. You might have a lot of Bitcoin or Cardano. Bitcoin and Cardano are the ones that receive the biggest part of the distribution, and then other tokens receive a little bit less. But it's definitely worth, it doesn't hurt spending a few minutes, connecting your wallet to the claims portal, which is midnight.gd or Glacier Drop, and to check, you might be or may not. Doesn't hurt trying.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I'll have to have a look because we were moving some stuff around, and yeah, the 11th of June, I'm pretty sure we had a bit of BTC on our ledger, so I'll look into that. And yeah, thank you for the link drop, the redeem.midnight.gd. So yeah, we'll get onto that.
There's also bits of good news coming out for people who had these tokens on centralized exchanges. So
that's good.
Yeah,
for unorganized people like myself.
So Kraken, they're listing Night tokens already as well, and they've said that they are going to make the drop claimable by anybody who held money on their exchange. Gate, I think, have said the same thing as well. So these centralized exchanges have been able to make a claim for the Midnight token as part of their holdings of Bitcoin and Ethereum, Solana, etc., Cardano, and they are slowly making steps to making those releasable then to the actual custodian or the owners of the tokens that were on their exchanges. So Gate and Kraken are the first big guys to announce that they're going to release them to us normal people, which is very cool. So yeah, even though if you missed out on the Glacier drop from a self-sovereign side of things, you could end up be able to get some through centralized exchange as well, which was unexpected. So that's a real bonus.
I wonder if that will include Binance.
Yeah, we're all asking that question, I think.
We are all asking that question. The fact that Night token is now on Binance Alpha is strong. It means that they're one of the largest stakers of Cardano, and because Night is a Cardano native asset, there's a whole lot of ties between Binance and the Cardano ecosystem that would, it may strong arm them a little bit into making the effort to release the Night tokens that they could be claiming, because they've got something like 63 stake pools on Cardano, which is each containing 73 million ADA. So that's a significant amount of Night tokens they could claim.
Jonathan, can you explain very quickly what Binance Alpha is for those of us that don't know?
I'm not even sure by the naming of it. I as far as I can see, it's the self-custodial side of Binance. I don't know. Yeah, I saw the term Binance Alpha for the first time this week.
I think is the where they start listing the emerging tokens.
Okay.
But before they are released on the main exchange.
Right. So it's
almost like a kind of like a kind of like a sandbox, before they release onto the main exchange. But it's definitely anything they put their name to, obviously it's on the list to make a debut on the main exchange, and obviously Binance being is the largest cryptocurrency exchange by far, so it dwarfs any other exchange by quite a margin. So the moment it gets listed on the main exchange, normally there is quite a bump in both volume and price when that happens. So it's nice that at the moment we're trading about 5 cents, and there's going to be, so until the tokens are all distributed, there's always going to be sales pressure, because whenever people receive tokens, some people want to sell them if they don't care about Midnight. But as the activity grows on the platform, and as it listed on main exchanges as Binance as well, we haven't, Coinbase hasn't mentioned it, but I'm quite sure that eventually Coinbase will list it as well. So those are all the extra boosts to both the visibility and the volume, and as a result as well price in the token. So we'll see where it will lead, but it's already after 3 days is being launched as it's already reached $1 billion in market cap. You know, so it's not going to be a small project, put it that way. Well,
Yeah,
time will tell.
I think someone was saying it's the 77th largest crypto out there now in day one. So that's pretty good. See
Pretty good launch. Very good launch for a layer 2 token, basically. I don't know what it is. I know it's a layer 1, but it's still being issued on Cardano. So yeah, interesting to see how it develops. Really, really exciting. Okay, guys, I will need to end the call now as we come to the end of the call. If you want to carry on, obviously Jonathan does a fantastic session as well, more focused on Cardano, and you know, obviously he lives and breathes Cardano every day, being a stake pool operator. So if you really want to know how a blockchain works from the inside, and how projects work inside of a blockchain, then I would recommend that you follow his call. So Jonathan, if you don't mind again sharing the link, which you have done already, you can see great mind thinks alike. And so if you are interested in crypto, then I would recommend that you follow that as well. In any case, I wish you a great weekend. We'll have the last session for the year, remember, next week. So bring a Christmas jumper or Christmas hat or something like that. Okay, so we'll try and make it fun. So talk a little bit less, you know, and we'll celebrate a little bit more. Okay. All right. And I might even give you some homework for the Christmas holidays.
Thank you very much, Luca.
Thanks, Luca.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you, Luca.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.